Auburn could do it. They could start Deuce Knight, but if he starts versus Mercer, what kind of game do we expect? Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G. Turn us on, turn us up, we'll turn it out. I'm here with my good friend Caesear Walker to talk a little Auburn football here on a Monday morning to get your week kicked off. We had a bye week, Caesear, and during the bye week, we got coaching search news. We got Deuce Knight news. We got all kind of news. But on today's show, we're going to talk about Deuce Knight and what kind of game we expect from him if he starts versus Mercer. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to talk a little bit more about that coaching search that Auburn has going on. Deuce Knight should be slated to start. It looks like they are going to make the very, very smart decision to save Ashton Daniels, a redshirt. I think he's earned it. I think it's the right thing to do. DJ Durkin was asked about this last week, and he was unwilling to commit that they were absolutely going to redshirt Ashton Daniels, but there's no way Ashton's camp lets him burn a year of eligibility here. So Auburn may not really have much of a choice. I think maybe they're just playing gamesmanship a tiny bit so that Mercer has to prepare for more than one quarterback. Talk to me about Deuce Knight, though. This young man is definitely getting more reps in practice this week, so they're preparing him as if he's going to be the starter. Someone in our comment section said at a signing event recently, he said that he's preparing to start. If he starts, what do you think we see from him under Derrick Nix? I was very taken back by how different Ashton Daniels looked from one week to another with just Derrick Nix as the play caller. Which Deuce Knight do we see here? When we saw him earlier this season, he didn't look too hot. Even Hugh Freeze said he was surprised that he didn't complete more passes. But with Hugh removed, maybe he everything.
I bet he was surprised he didn't complete more passes. I think in this offense, what I was impressed with in the one sample size that we had in the Vandy game, I was impressed with how Nix put guys in position to make plays. One of the things that we saw in Ashton Daniels when he stepped onto the field on the road against Arkansas was how quickly he processed the game and how he saw the field and how he made decisions. And with that, coming up with a game plan that takes advantage of that, Mike, we saw things in that game that we hadn't seen. Again, there's a clip because we watched the game live, and I obviously me, being very excited over what I was seeing. There's a clip of me on the touchdown pass to Eric Singleton where I yelled, "Is that a slant?" You know what I mean? Like we saw dig routes, we saw slants, we saw an offense that truly looked like the offense Auburn fans were promised when Hugh Freeze was hired. Just in one game, 6 days to prepare, you saw all of that. You're giving this staff 2 weeks with Deuce Knight, this talented kid. I have to believe he looks tremendously better than how he looked earlier in the season when there was so much dysfunction and it was difficult for people to succeed in this offense. I expect him to go off this Saturday, should he start.
I do too. Follow me the la land here just for a second here. If they start Jackson Arnold, I think that the one thing we agree is they're not going to start Ashton because he's not saving his redshirt. But if they start Jackson Arnold, do you lose Deuce Knight with that decision?
Probably.
Right? Is there a way that you could get buy-in from Deuce on Jackson starting before you make that decision?
At this point, Mike, the only way that you can you have to plant the seed in these guys' head that things are really going to be different moving forward. Okay. You don't do that by sitting Deuce Knight because there are people on this team right now. They're here because they thought they were going to be playing football with Deuce Knight. Deuce Knight is here because he thought that there is a true future with him in it. In a game that you're expected to win against Mercer. No disrespect to Mercer, but Auburn expects to win this game. You want to use this as an opportunity to not only show Deuce you're our guy for the future, and we want you to go out and lead this team in a new offense, lead this team, get some valuable playing experience, and we want you to know what it feels like to put on that Auburn jersey and actually play meaningful snaps in a game and actually win a game as Auburn starter. Just think what that could be like for the future. For the Cam Colemans and the other receivers that Auburn has, what does it feel like catching passes from him in a game and being able to make plays? That is your pitch to these guys. I don't know how you truly pitch these guys from the bench. Deuce Knight from the bench. Guys catching passes from Jackson Arnold and saying, hey, what if this is Deuce? Well, just put Deuce in and let them see for themselves how the future looks like. To me, I don't see a path for not starting Deuce while you're trying to sell the team on the future of Deuce.
Yeah, it's if you're DJ Durkin, right? I have to assume that you have some level of attachment to the roster as is if you're going to be the next coach, because you helped recruit a lot of these kids here, and he may not have been involved in recruiting the quarterback, but certainly, these guys are part of a roster that he helped recruit. So watching talented kids walk out the door, remember, Deuce Knight is a top 50 overall guy.
Yeah.
If you're Auburn, when you've gotten those guys, a lot of them have busted over the years. And hopefully you have a plan in place, or a staff in place, I should say, where these guys are receiving the development that they should be getting. One of the things I'd like to see from the new coaching staff is I'd like to see a staff that coaches 5 stars and 2 stars all the same.
Yeah.
And expecting not stop falling into the trap of thinking that 5 stars are going to save you every Saturday. Certainly, when you have Cam Coleman, we saw what he could do on Saturday when given the chance. Go out and he can make catches that not a lot of people can make. Hell, he caught a ball without even seeing the ball the last time we saw him play football. And not a lot of kids can do that. However, he still needs to be coached up.
Yep.
And
right.
You need a coach who will coach guys up, man. And so, I think DJ Durkin is a guy who will put a plan in place to make sure that these guys get coached up. But Deuce, it would be hard for me to watch Deuce walk out the door before he has a real chance to play football here on the Plains. And if he walks out the door, you better be replacing him with somebody really, really good. You better go to the portal and you better find a really, really good quarterback. Because the kid that's coming in, the Pennsylvania kid, I think his name is Peyton Falzone. Yeah, he's good. I don't think he's Deuce Knight good.
Yeah, and again, you don't let Deuce walk out without you doing everything in your power to convince him to stay. And I just don't think that starting Jackson Arnold, you're not off to a good start and doing everything that you can to convince this kid to stay. Right? You're expected to beat Mercer. So I would think that you can beat Mercer with a talented QB in Deuce Knight. Let the kid get some snaps, let him get some reps, and then you show him. Just in the same way, the reason why there's now a real conversation about Ashton Daniels not burning his red shirt is because he and this coaching staff saw what he could actually do when given the opportunity to succeed. Give Deuce Knight that same opportunity, and now you're starting to have real conversations about the future that you probably were not having a week or so prior.
Yeah.
You got to that point because you put him in the game. You don't really see a future with Jackson Arnold as Auburn's QB. You see it more so with Deuce. So play Deuce.
I got to tell you, as we're recording this, information is always coming into the war report. I got some information that they could be planning to start Jackson Arnold on Saturday. I wonder what the reaction will be to running Jackson Arnold out there on Saturday would be from the crowd. We'll talk about that. Let's talk about this on the other side of the break, because I want to stay here. This is such an interesting time at Auburn, man. Lots of decisions have to be made, and Auburn has to get this right. So we'll get to the break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the quarterback situation here headed into Saturday. This episode of the War Report is brought to you by our friends at Abel's I Moore and Associates. You don't need a big balance to get big advice at Abel's I Moore and Associates. There's no minimum to start your initial portfolio review. It's completely complimentary. Whether you're just starting to invest, a do-it-yourself investor, or in the final stages of planning for retirement, Amos Fiduciary Advisors will meet you where you are. No sales pitch, no pressure, just honest guidance. Call AMA at 912-777-4128. Scan the QR code on the screen or visit AIMAINC.com. It costs nothing to talk and could change everything. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's I Moore and Associates for this endorsement. Abel's I Moore and Associates is a SEC registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop potentially has something that has you covered. If you've got some traditional ailments that could require some non-traditional remedies, well, the Rogue Shop might have something that could help you out. Our guy Redshirt is a longtime sponsor of the show, dropping a little something extra in there for everybody using code REPORT today. So please head on over to the Rogue Shop and let them know that the War Report sent you. I want to thank our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. The summer may be over, but the fall is here, and that means a good time to be outside with your family by Golden's Cast Iron Grill, or staying in shape with some Golden's Cast Iron weights. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. I want to thank our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. Ever run out of vape juice at 10 p.m. and think, well, I guess I'm just out of luck? Well, not with Sky Tobacco and Vape around. They've got more locations than the Waffle House. Columbus, Phoenix City, they're everywhere. And whether you're on the thruway, the bypass, or just lost with bad directions, Sky Tobacco and Vape is probably 10 feet away. They've got vapes, tobacco, and good deals. So great, you'll swear they misprinted the price tags. Sky Tobacco and Vape, good vibes, great deals, and zero judgment if you walk in at 10 p.m. in your pajama pants. Jackson Arnold. It felt like after last Saturday that Auburn played football, that we were maybe done with Jackson Arnold as an Auburn Tiger. What advantage does Auburn have to rolling Jackson Arnold there out on Saturday if that happens? I'm not saying that's happening. I'm just saying, look, information is always coming in. And, I've heard things on both sides of the coin here about Deuce starting or Jackson potentially being the guy. What do you think here, man? Is if they send Jackson out there? And okay, well, hold on. Hang with me on this one. The same way we saw a different Ashton, what if we see a crazy-looking Jackson Arnold with Derrick Nix calling plays? Or does it matter because it's Mercer? I don't. I'm trying to get at what the advantage to starting Jackson Arnold is on Saturday.
I think two things can be true. Deuce Knight was about the future of Auburn, right? It was about the future of Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
This decision isn't necessarily about the future. It truly is about the present. And I guess for whatever reason, the coaching staff, assuming that this information is confirmed, it's true, it's about who gives you the best opportunity to win this game, because you have made the decision that your immediate future is Ashton Daniels, because he's clearly not burning his red shirt. You want to make sure you win this game, and you're going to do so with Jackson Arnold. So he's still your QB2.
Okay.
What the advantage is, I don't think there really is an advantage. You're just putting him in to win this game and get on to Bama. I don't really see an advantage here. I think you have the ability to kill two birds with one stone by winning the game and pitching the future to some guys who may or may not be on the roster next year because of how disappointing this season has gone.
I have a feeling this is gonna be a wildly unpopular decision if they do that. Again, this is not confirmed. again, just something that we're putting out there because there are some that have contacted me that have said that it's a possibility they could start Jackson Arnold here on Saturday.
I think he looks different, Mike, but at the same time, if you want people to be excited about the Mercer game, start Deuce.
You can always pull Jackson off the bench if he's not
always play. You can always play Jackson Arnold, but
or do they start Jackson and then bring Deuce off the bench?
Then why don't you just start Deuce?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you.
What are we doing?
I'm trying to understand here what it felt like as we got closer to this game. It was like, yeah, they're gonna do the thing. They're gonna start Deuce
unless Deuce is unless Deuce really isn't as far along as they hoped he would be. That's the only thing that I can think of as to why you don't start him. He really does need some development and some work, which is disappointing at this point in the season. But
yeah, I'm sorry. Like, if that's the case, that ain't on Deuce. That's on this coaching staff.
I agree, Mike. I agree, and that's probably why he's even out the door as well. But what my point is that that's the only thing. Because if he is far along, why is this even a thing? Why is Jackson Arnold even a thing at this point?
Yeah, do you feel like they owe Jackson Arnold one more start? Or like, I mean, you invested a lot in him. He got a NIL deal reportedly in the 7 digits, 7 figures. So, is there some financial tie to this? Or I don't know, man. I just feel that they can't. There was a lot in me that felt like, you know what? There's not a lot they can get wrong over these next few weeks. Just do the opposite of what the last dude did.
Let me ask you this. Let me answer your question, and I'm going to ask you a question. Do they owe Jackson Arnold? I thought that it was very telling when DJ was hired, his first press conference, he didn't hesitate to name a starting QB for Vandy.
Right.
I said that's very telling after what we know to be true about this offense now, that firing Hugh Freeze, naming him the interim, turning the play calling over to Derrick Nix symboled a reset for everyone on that offense. Yet this coaching staff didn't hesitate to name Ashton Daniels the starter.
Did not hesitate.
That was telling. If you owe Jackson Arnold anything, you would like to think that it would have been another chance at Vandy, but he didn't get that chance. What does a chance against Mercer mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to make sense of the idea that they could possibly do this. Now, Caesear, after the Kentucky game, I can't even explain to you what that scene looked like. My in-laws went on vacation, and when they came back, they were like, "Hey, Mike, how's it going?" I was like, "Hey," kind of filling them in on everything that happened while they were gone. And so I whipped out the video of the scene of Auburn fans after the Kentucky game staying to chant "Fire Hugh." And it was such an unbelievable kind of like, well, how did we get here? With 30,000 people just stayed in the stands to chant "Fire Hugh." They made a lot of unpopular decisions to get to that place with fans, because those fans didn't show up expecting a loss. This is the worst team in the league. They showed up expecting a win, and they got a loss. And that's how we got to "Fire Hugh, fire Hugh, fire Hugh." This is going to be a very hard bag for this staff to fumble over the next few weeks. And not starting Deuce feels like a fumble to me.
Okay, which leads me to my question.
It feels like a fumble.
For the things that DJ Durkin has done up to this point to change the minds of some fans as whether or not he's the guy for the job.
Okay.
Would this signal a setback for him in the minds of some fans that have been recently won over?
I think so. I think you'll lose some fans with this decision. I I would consider the decision to be short-sighted, and I would have questions about whether or not the bigger picture is something that they will get right in the future, because this feels like a slam dunk to me. Start Deuce, pull Jackson off the bench if you need to. If Deuce is not, if the game is in doubt, pull Jackson off the bench, save Ashton's red shirt, and get to Bama.
To me, if we can argue that sitting Ashton, starting Deuce are the dominoes that could eventually lead to an outcome down the line that you want in roster retention, then not starting Deuce does what exactly?
I mean, would it be satisfactory though if they got Deuce off the bench in the second half? Would that be enough? I don't think that would be enough. I don't think.
Let's be clear. I think Jackson Arnold, if he's the starter, I think he does fine. Let's be clear. I think it's not that Jackson Arnold goes out and just does terribly. I think the same thing we saw with Jackson with Ashton Daniels. I think something similar can happen with Jackson Arnold. I do
too.
However, that's not the issue here. The issue is the guys on this roster. Who do they want to play with in the future?
Yeah. The issue is not whether I think Jackson Arnold will play well or not. I think
that's not I want to make sure people listening to us are not hearing something we're not saying.
Yeah, correct. Yes, I think Jackson Arnold will do fantastic. As a matter of fact,
right.
I don't, but unless you're telling me there's a chance that you are starting Jackson Arnold next year.
Mike,
you're right.
Jackson Arnold's not making next year what he made this year.
Okay, all right, yeah, because my whole thing is you already decided to move on from him. You had to your point, you had a chance to go back to Jackson Arnold at Vanderbilt and you didn't.
Yeah,
you moved on, and then it looked fantastic with Ashton. I don't know how you go backwards at this point, and that's what
that. This is not about the future. This move has nothing to do with the future.
It has absolutely nothing to do whether I think Jackson Arnold is a good quarterback or not.
Right.
I was a Jackson Arnold fan when he came here, and I put his shortcomings more on the coaching staff than I do on Jackson.
You failed Jackson Arnold.
Yeah. He failed. He failed Peyton. He failed Robbie. Yeah. He failed every quarterback he's had here. He failed.
He failed those guys. That's a given.
We agree on that.
This is about Auburn's future, and it's about putting chess pieces in their proper place to be able to achieve a certain outcome for the future as it pertains to maintaining your roster. I don't know if you put yourself in the best position to do that by starting Jackson Arnold. That's the argument.
Look, we definitely agree on that. But the question is, do our listeners agree? Well, hit the comments after the video and let us know what you think. Does Auburn screw the pooch if they start Jackson Arnold against Mercer? We want to hear from you. And while you're in the comment section, do us a favor and smash that super thanks button. Your financial support helps keep the work we're doing here going. Please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. We are TWR4 on TikTok. We're going to get out of here, but before we do, I'd be remiss if I didn't say YouTube has a new feature called it's a hype button. Hit that hype button for us, guys. Just go down there where you see super thanks and scroll on over. Smash the hype button. It helps YouTube know that you love the content that you're hearing here. Not a lot of conversations like this going on elsewhere on YouTube, I can tell you that. We're going to go on and get out of here. We appreciate everybody for tuning in today. We're signing off, and as always, for you.